know when you're going to be able to get the link. Okay. So let me get everything pulled up here. Let me get your forum pulled up here. So what got you interested in coaching?
I really feel like I'm the weak link in our team.
Mm-hmm.
And then my school also has an esports team, so I would like to be good enough to join them this fall.
Now, I was chatting with Jolly earlier, but I honestly cannot remember what the deal is with the team, like with between you and Ballistic. So like, what you guys are on a team together, yeah? You and Jolly.
Y- yes.
Okay. Is it just like a random team? I cannot remember. We had this conversation. I just can't remember.
It's Jolly, my roommate, and then a couple of Jolly's friends.
Okay. Okay. So it's just like a random scrim team.
Yeah, and then we
Okay.
ended up doing a tournament like last month. We ended up placing second and winning
Oh,
a little bit of cash, so that wasn't bad.
nice. Nice. Okay. Okay. Cool. So you're tired of being the weak link then?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. What makes you think that you're the weak link? Is it an SR thing?
It's that, but then I just feel like I there's ways that I could contribute better to the team, and then I feel like I let down the team in a lot of ways by, dying when I'm not supposed to, or like getting
Mm-hmm.
thirsty for a kill and then getting absolutely roasted and toasted, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I guess the reason why I asked that is even if we knew that you were objectively SR problematic, right? Which sounds like it's the case, right? Like objectively, you are the weak link, okay? However, you feeling like I'm a weak link at some points may not totally go away. For example, I remember when even as like a coach, I would be working with some teams, and we'd lose a game or something like that, and even if I guess looking back at it now, I'd be like, I think I actually did an okay job. I could have done better, but I don't think I was like quote unquote the weak link. I don't know if anybody was the weak link at the time. I still felt like it. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like I still felt like I was the problem, and it was really like honestly, it's kind of discouraging. You know. So I guess for you is it's like when you're in these situations, like it's really important that you like have the trust of your teammates, but that you're not afraid to like, for example, like what you're saying, that like I overextend for a kill, like maybe you needed to go for the kill, you just weren't quite good enough to get it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it was like objectively the right play, but you just didn't quite get it. So what are you gonna do now? Are you gonna be too scared to go for stuff in the future?
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. Well, how long you been playing the game?
On and off since like I don't know, maybe season 5, and then recently probably like consistently probably the past year and a half.
Okay, what got you into it?
Jolly played it.
Fair enough. And you're like, yo, that's a cool game. How old were you when he was playing it?
Oh god, I was like 15 when I got my first Xbox.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
14,
And
13.
and now you're thinking about making the college team.
Yes.
Nice, nice, nice. Okay. And at the time of the forum, you were plat 4. Is that where you're at right now?
No, I'm down in gold 2 at the moment.
Okay, makes sense. That's actually not that much of a drop. Don't worry about it. Let me get everything pulled up as well when it comes to your hero pool support. Is that correct?
Yes.
Why?
I don't know. Back in the day, I would just kind of play certain characters, but when you didn't have roll queue, and then roll queue happened, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm a support main.
Okay. Is that by by choice now?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't have very good mechanics, so I feel like I can't hold my own as a DPS pretty well.
Okay. Okay. Keep that in mind that there's nothing. Okay. So you ever know that like you see somebody that has like that's like 7'1", and you're like, well, they can play in the NBA. I'm 5'4". I'm not making it. Not as much the case with mechanics. So I guess if you enjoy the characters that you're playing at, roll with it, but don't ever feel like, oh, it's a mechanical gap that I'll never be able to close. It's closable. I know a lot of people that have Overwatch as their first person shooter, and they figured it out because they put time in. So if you enjoy the heroes that you're playing, but just keep that in mind. Now, in your forum, you said Brig on a Kiriko. Is that still the case?
Yes. A little less Ana, though,
Why is that?
because one of the other supports on our team plays her a little bit better than I do.
Gotcha. Gotcha. But Brig Kiriko.
Yes.
Okay, makes sense. Why those two?
Kiriko, I think, is a lot of fun just because of her movement. And then Brig, I just think it's really fun to swing a hammer.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I played a little bit of Brig actually, OTP at the, season 2 or 3 of Overwatch 2, just to see how she felt, and she's a little tough, but she's fun. I really liked her.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going here. Anything additionally like Spot to know? I am not the brightest crown in the box. Fair enough. But honestly, like, who wants to be a bright crown? Those are all the boring colors. I've always preferred like the aquamarine, which was a little bit more muted. And honestly, having a black or a white crown, that was super cool. I guess white crown is that technically bright? Is white technically bright? I guess.
I guess it's neutral.
Yeah, I can't quite tell. Okay, what do you hope to get out of the session? How can I improve my contribution to the team? Okay. How many hours of sleep do you get per night on average? 7 to 9. Okay. Long-term, short-term goals. Short-term, improve and rank up. So okay, let me ask you an honest question here. If you were to say 1 year from now, and you were to wake up, and you were to log into your Battle.net account, and you were to check your SR, and all of a sudden you gasp, and you fall into a dead faint. You cannot believe that you are rank, like, this is like best case scenario. What rank would it be?
I would love if I could make it to like diamond.
Okay, that's your highest, loftiest goal.
I mean, highest ever would be great to, make it into masters or something.
Okay,
but...
okay. Now, what would be a conservative goal, short term? Where you get up a year from now, you check your Overwatch account, you're like, hey, all right, I'll take that.
High plat, low diamond.
Okay, sounds good. Now, talk to me about your collegiate situation. Are you going to a college that you want to join the team, or is that something that you're interested in, or tell me about that?
Yes, so I attend the University of Wyoming, and they have an esports team. And last year I kind of joined their Discord, and like we played a couple games with them, but I wasn't like on their team because I was too low ranked. So this year I would love to be a part of one of their teams that goes and competes.
What rank would you need to be able to do that?
I think I have to be plat for the lowest team, and then masters for varsity.
Okay, makes sense. So we'll see. How many hours of sleep do you get per night on average? 7 to 9. How often do you get 7, and how often do you get 9?
In college I get probably closer to 9. In the summers closer to 7.
That feels like backwards. Okay, you're working.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say that makes no sense, but okay, fair enough. It's not bad. Especially for someone who's rather busy like you are. It's not terrible. Okay, and then the big juicer is how often and how much do you play the game per week, per day, and so
on? Kind of similar thing with my sleep. In the summer I definitely play less. Probably 3 times a week, 4 times a week for 4 hours ish. 3 to 4 hours.
That's bizarre. I'm not used to hearing that. So you play only 3 or 4 times per week, but you play for a good chunk of time when you do play.
Oh yeah.
Now, why is that? Is that just that to do with like your work life schedule that just happens to work out like that, or what? Yes,
that's just kind of how it works out. With me being really busy and traveling and all that, and it's just like when my friends are on, they're on another time zone, so they get on really late for my time, and then I don't want to get off because they're on.
Okay, makes sense. Do you only play with friends?
No, I do play by myself.
How much of that, percentage wise, ratio wise, approximately?
Since we like formed this little group thing, probably only about 25% now.
So mostly with friends, some of it by yourself.
Yeah.
And then when do you play by yourself? Is it like 1 day per week, or is it a certain percentage of time per day, or does it depend?
It usually depends on the day, but I often play by myself before everyone gets on.
Okay. For how long? Couple games?
Let's see. Yesterday I played for like an hour, so usually about an hour and a half.
Okay. And then they come on and so on. Okay. And the 3 to 4 days per week, 3 to 4 hours per day, is that fairly consistent through summer, through college? Does that change and shift? You said you play a little bit less during the summer, but is it approximately the same?
College, it's pretty similar, except I play closer to 5 days a week and maybe about 3 hours instead.
Okay. The more we can spread it out, the better. I don't know how much of that you actually have control over, but 5 days per week better than 4 better than 3, and so on. You kind of get what I'm saying? It's like basically the idea is that if you're playing to practice, the more frequently we can get you practicing as close as we can to every day, the more you're going to learn. The further away you are, the more it's going to be about. I mean, you know how it is, right? I'm sure you've had sessions where you've played for 5 or 6 hours, yes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you know how that goes at like hour 5, hour 6. You could still be having the time of your life, but you're not exactly like fully focused. So I think it's just about kind of keeping that in mind and finding where in the spectrum do you kind of want to be. Because, again, 5 days per week isn't optimal, but it's pretty darn good, right? 4 days per week is it's all right. 3 days per week, definitely not optimal. So I guess do with that information as you will, but I want to put that out there. Make sense?
Yes.
Now, there's other factors to consider here, which is how is that time spent? So between scrimmages, ranked, quick play, arcade, the new overpriced missions, where is your time spent in game usually?
Mostly comp. I'll usually do a couple games to warm up and quick play, and then I pretty much go straight, and I do a lot of comp.
Okay. And is that it? Basically just comp?
Yeah, and then if I have challenges, we would do arcade, or like some of my friends are on, I'll play arcade with them.
Okay.
But
how often do you guys scrimmage with the team, or how much do you play within the scrimmages?
usually it's once or twice a week.
Okay. And for how long?
As like a scheduled team practice, and that's usually about 3 hours.
Okay. What do you guys do during that practice?
We review VODs, and then we play, and then we practice, different team compositions and dive, poke, all that kind of stuff.
Is this a scrimmage or is this playing ranked together?
This is ranked.
Okay, playing ranked together. Okay, makes sense. Now, how much and you play in the ranked practice, I assume?
Wait, what?
Do you play in the ranked practice?
Yes.
Okay, because you were saying earlier that, oh, well, I have another guy that plays Ana, so how does that work? You just have the two supports, and then they play Ana, and then you play something else?
It's just they most often play Ana, and
Got
so
it.
I
Got
just
it. But you're not like a reserve or
around.
anything?
No.
Got it. Okay. I want to make sure. Okay, so you are playing full-time. Okay, makes sense. And then you said to start the day, you're generally playing at least for a little bit by yourself, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Optimally, here's what I will say. For self-improvement, generally the best way to improve for most folks is solo queue. However, for you, you have responsibilities, and also it's just pretty darn fun to play with people, correct? So
yes,
I actually like the way that you have things potentially structured right here, where you have about an hour and a half, like you were saying, to yourself to practice on the things that you want to practice. And then you have about a couple of hours afterwards just to play with other people, maybe still improving, maybe playing for fun, but that your solo time comes first. I actually think that can work out pretty well. So here's what I'd recommend. Aim for that hour and a half daily, if you can, of just solo practice. And what I would do is I would shift your warm-up up to be more deathmatch focused, especially if you're playing Brig, Kiriko, Ana, just so that you can get more reps on your mechanics with those heroes. So I'd spend around 10-15 minutes, whether that's an unranked deathmatch or whatever. And then I would jump into ranked, play 2, 3, 4 games, and then from there play with your team. You kind of see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that's probably very close to what you're already doing, but I think that's a reasonable structure of the way all things are being currently situated right now. I would love for you to get that individual focus first, and then with your team stuff, you can do whatever you need to do afterwards. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you understand the value of deathmatch? I don't know if Jolly has talked to you about some of the things that I'm a proponent of with deathmatch or not. Are you familiar with the value of deathmatch, or would you like to give me to give you a short recap?
A recap would be great.
Sure. So basically you talked about the weakness of your mechanics, right? Well, the way to fix that is to shoot people, and to shoot them a lot, or to hit them with your hammer, or to hit them with your flail, or whatever. And the most exposure that you can get to that practice in a realistic environment is a deathmatch, because not only are you forced to 1v1 people repeatedly instead of healing or playing in the back or whatever, But your respawn timer is about 2 seconds instead of 10 seconds plus having to run back from spawn. So it's frequent and rapid exposure to mechanics over and over and over and over and over and over again. And that's going to allow you to practice your mechanics a little bit more efficiently than a quick play game. So you practice your mechanics, you get yourself warmed up while practicing your mechanics in deathmatch, then you go into competitive, and then now you can just focus on your positioning, your cooldown usage, and so on, because you've got your mechanics practice in. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, I would highly recommend that. That's basically how I taught myself how to aim. This is a deathmatch. I would play it a lot more than 10 to 15 minutes per day, but you don't necessarily need to do that. Okay, any questions so far?
No, doing pretty good so far.
Okay, so I think if you're able to have something similar to that, playing 4 to 5 days a week whenever you can, 10 to 15 minutes of deathmatch whenever you can, 3 to 4 games of solo queue whenever you can before you get into your team stuff, that's going to be basically what you're already doing, but slightly better. Now, last question I have for you on the forum, you say, what do you feel is holding you back from improving? You said mechanics. Well, we talked about that. And timing. What do you mean timing?
So I think I just don't have, I noticed it especially with Brig, I don't have the best timing on, since, I only have 3 armor packs. When is it valuable to use those in the fight, or when is it valuable for me to ult? Sometimes I have a really bad habit of holding on to my ult, especially with Kiriko. So it's just like how to identify the best times to execute certain things.
Got it. Okay, well, we'll take a look. Let's I don't have any other questions for you. Do you have any other questions for me?
No.
Okay, you're clear on the play time, the general play structure that I would aim for you?
Yes.
Okay. Nothing crazy, just a little bit better, and I think that's going to help a little bit of your mechanics in the long term. Okay, do you have a replay code for me?
Yes.
Lovely. Thank you. Take a look. Now I'm going to apologize in advance, as I was saying. Upload speed is literally 5% of what it should be. So if the bit rate looks like what is going on my screen, just let me know and we'll slow it down, and I'll reposition the camera. So it might be a little bit snowy.
Okay.
You said you play in a literal dinosaur though, so I don't know. I might be more of a troglodyte. I might not even be dinosaur yet, so who knows. Okay, let's talk about Brigitte. Excellent choice of skin, by the way. I'm a big fan. I think the hair looks super cool. Okay, and that's, by the way, the most important part, so you need to make sure.
Of course.
Now you're playing with Jolly here. Is this with your team?
Yes.
Okay, so talk to me about Brig. What's the hero good at?
Defending herself and providing short bursts of healing, and then she provides good healing within the fight as long as she's doing damage.
Okay, now you said good at defending yourself. Why is that valuable?
So you can stay in the fight longer.
Sure, and do more value. Okay, moving on to your second point. You said short bursts of healing, correct? Was that the second thing you said?
Yes.
How is that valuable?
Because I feel like it's extremely valuable for a poke, and then I can keep everyone up within a quicker amount of time. I feel like it's more of an instant fix.
Okay. Anything else that comes to mind?
Her rally can cancel ults.
Sure, absolutely. So I want you to look at your composition. Do you have any priorities? Don't even close your eyes to the enemy comp for a second. What do you think you ought to be doing? What are your priorities?
Probably supporting the Echo.
Okay.
And probably just supporting the DPS, and then making sure Ana stays uncontested.
Now, why would you support the Echo, the DPS, the Ana, and so on? Why?
Because I have a shield.
Okay.
And the Ana helps keep everyone else up, but everyone can dive onto her or pick her out pretty easily. Sure.
Now you have a tough ask here, because I look at the enemy composition, I'm like, yo, a pack on an Echo, a pack on an Ana, a pack on a Sombra, all gonna be really useful, yeah. However, what's gonna be diving your Ana?
Not much.
What's gonna be diving you?
Uh, I don't feel like much either.
So should you be playing Brig?
Probably not.
Okay, so then here's the real question though, because I'm not asking you to swap. How will you get value out of your survivability if you don't have anything that's diving you?
Push forward more towards the front, maybe.
Okay. What's that going to feel like? How would a Brig do versus a Sigma in a 1v1?
Not well.
Okay, so it's not going to be a 1v1, but it's not. That's not really the answer to your solution, your problem necessarily either, right? You're still going to have a hard time living on the front line, right? So then how do you find your value elsewhere? How do you get value out of your survivability if you can't push forward and get value? You can't stay in the back and get value because the survivability is worthless. You can't push forward and get value because your survivability isn't good enough. So what do?
Stay towards the middle and then maybe help keep like the sim suppressed.
Sure. Here's a question for you. Do you get one shot by a Symmetra if you mess up your positioning?
No.
Okay, what about a Cassidy? Kind of more of a theoretical question, right? He could get you pretty fast, but do you die immediately if you're playing well?
No.
Right. Same thing with the Brig and the Mercy too, obviously, right? So, like, if I'm playing Zenyatta versus this composition, do I really want to get close to the enemy team at all?
No.
No, not at all, right? No reason for me. It's just terrible, right? I would just melt like ice, you know? You, however, don't want to be pushing up in the middle of the front line, necessarily, but you got a little bit more flexibility, all right? Now, what that means that you can get a little bit more aggressive proccing your Inspire, correct?
Yes.
Means you can get a little bit more aggressive keeping, what did you say about the Symmetra? Keeping her in check? You said something that I really liked. I can't remember what it was.
Keeping her turrets
suppressing her.
And,
suppressing her. Yeah, I think that was the term you used, suppressing. Love that. Yes. Keeping her, preventing her from getting all the positions that she wants because she's a little scared of getting close to you. You know, I mean, she's not like she's going to die immediately, but yeah, it just makes her a little bit uncomfortable, right? What if that Symmetra's half HP? What if that Cassie's used grenade and half HP? Can you push on that?
Yes.
Yes, you can, right? So my point being is that, heck, you could even take positions that give you better sightlines that other squishier supports couldn't take. So my point is that there's a lot of little details that get bonuses from you being a little bit more tanky than another support. And the challenge for you is being able to leverage that without dying. Because that's what Brig can do. Brig can go, oh, a Zen couldn't play here, and Ana couldn't play here, a Mercy couldn't play here, because they might die, but I won't. So I get to play in those positions, and I get to say, no, you can't be here. My team gets to be here. Screw off. All while doing relatively decent healing with your armor packs. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if you can't be Dove, then how are you leveraging your survivability? And if you don't know the answer to that question, then you're going to have a really hard time playing Brig. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so what I want to do is, as we look through this, we'll look at your armor pack usage, we'll look at your cover usage, we'll look at your whip shots, we'll look at everything. But I want to see you using your survivability a little bit, not in the front line necessarily, but a little bit more, so that you can be proccing and building your Inspire and generally controlling the enemy team a little bit better. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, that pack was good. She just gets 2-packed. Now, for example, right here, what does Zen do right now?
Spam the corner.
Right. But you don't have to do that because guess what? You're terrible at that. And you don't need to do that. Where could you go?
Further right.
Why?
To where the tank is.
Why would you want to go further right?
Because it helps break my line of sight with the enemy team.
So how would you go further right?
Shield bash or shield and walk across.
Yeah, that's another cute little thing. You got mobility. On his end, don't have mobility, you know? So yeah, shield bash across, take this angle here. If Symmetra or Brig start to push you into your Winston, you're probably safe. You're probably safe. Let's see what happens.
And we're just waiting.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. But my point is that even if you were waiting, you should be setting up.
Yeah.
This position is too passive for your hero. You can greed a little bit further forward. Because this is gonna, how easy is it gonna be proc Inspire from here?
It won't.
Right, exactly. What's the problem with what's on your screen right now with the enemy team? How far?
Shield.
How far away are they?
Extremely.
Extremely far, and you got a shield to worry about. So where should you be right now?
Further right.
Further right. What could you do from here? Where would you go?
I could rotate to the right, or I can keep a better eye up on the Winston.
What could you do from here?
Whiplash the other people.
Sure, good. You could even walk here, proc your Inspire. Can they push you here? Will you die here?
Not as easily.
No. I think if you die here, it's your mistake. You mismanaged your shield, or you didn't bash, or something like that. You kind of see what I'm saying? So, something to consider. Little micro detail as well. What's the mistake here? If you are going to play here, what's the mistake with what you're doing here?
I don't have my shield up.
Right. Why is that a problem?
Because I can receive damage, and then they receive ult charge.
Or you just die. Or you just die. That too. You don't always need your shield up, but you need your shield up here. Why?
Because there's a shield. They have a shield, and I'm right in front of everyone.
Right. Cast and Symmetra specifically. Right. Those people hurt you, so do not be here. If you're in the open with somebody that can shoot you, you need your shield up. Where can you go that other supports can't go that may be useful to suppress people, proc your Inspire, and give you better sightlines to heal your team?
Up the stairs.
What can you do in here?
I have a better line of sight of my teammates, and then I also have the protection.
Easier to proc your Inspire, yes or no?
Yes.
Easier to pack your Winston and Echo, yes or no?
Yes.
Still relatively safe, yes or no?
Yes.
Could a Zenyatta or Ana make it from here to here safely?
Not really. Questionably.
Questionably, exactly. You know, you've done nothing this entire game but throw armor packs onto a tank and make them do work for you. That's our first Inspire proc, I'm pretty sure. Was that has this been a mechanics issue, though?
No.
Right. Micro mistake. You tell me what it is. Great pack. Questionable whip shot, but I get it. Right? What's the mechanics mistake here?
I shield bash into the Sigma instead of out of the fight.
Well, what should you do? Are you scared of the Sigma when you were full HP with an Ana with you, and you have both your shield bash and your shield HP?
I shouldn't be.
Okay, at least not immediately. So what should you do? What's the play here? I want you to coach yourself micro-wise. Ready? Here we go. What should you do? Instead of shield bashing, what should you do?
Just start swinging.
Yeah. How about just if you want to play it safe, one swing. Why? What does one swing on the Sigma do?
Inspire.
And then what can you do from there?
Rotate out.
Sure. If you want to, maybe you swing again and shield, and swing again and shield, and swing again and shield. And then all of a sudden, he hits a volley right in your face, or he channels his rock, and you're like, ah! You either block it, or what do you still have in your bag?
Shield bash.
Shield bash, right? So you have it as your get out of jail free card. Now you don't have your get out of jail free card. You did 50 damage, but that's not that much more than what you would have just done with a swing. Yeah. All right, keep going. Definitely would have shielded that rock as well. A little late on the pack. Unfortunate. We had a capability if we were faster with that. We're a little bit more cautious with the shield bash. If we're a little bit faster with the pack, we could have carried that fight. We didn't. We lose next fight. You know, the nice thing about having a Sombra, though, is every time Jolly dies, it's his fault. Because he has a translocator. So you can just always, whenever he dies, just point and laugh. I think it's a good strategy.
Perfect.
Now, I'm gonna ask again, where should you be?
Across with the car.
Across again. You're making things harder on yourself is essentially what's happening. You're putting yourself in these more passive positions where you still have your shield bash to get out, and when the enemy comp doesn't really have dive, and so you're making it harder to proc Inspire, you're making it harder to even get value out of your Inspire, and you're not really putting on any pressure in the meantime. It's about finding that balance while still saving your shield bash so that you can get out of jail free. You see how it's been very hard for you to do anything? Here's a question. If you're here, what might the enemy team look at? What might the enemy team do?
They're come for me.
Yeah. Even if they don't come for you, where are some of their crosshairs going to be, right?
Looking my direction and taking pressure off the Winston.
Yes, exactly. See, you know what you're talking about.
And this was a highly unfortunate event.
You could have gotten out. What was your mistake? So you're down 2. So yeah, you should have gotten out. Here's another mistake though. Check it.
Not shielding.
There's your damage. Or there's your escape, excuse me. You just used it to bash in. Now I will say it's actually kind of, it would have been hilarious if you'd whipped them off the map. But sadly no. You gotta be really careful about using that shield bash, right? Use it aggressively when you think you're not going to need it to get out of jail free. I think you needed to get out of jail free guard there. Uh-oh. You see what's about to happen?
Yeah. It's a little rough.
It's alright. Rally. Oh, rally's fine. I don't mind using rally whenever you see an opportunity to push.
Got a little aggressive. It's too aggressive.
Okay. You know what though? You know what? Here's the good news. You're not a coward. You're not a coward. You have it in you. You've got that dog in you. You know what I'm saying? That's what the cool kids say now. All right. The problem is it's what? It's too much. Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah.
Especially too much into a charge sim and a Cassie with nade and all this stuff. It's just too much. The problem now is it's too much. And what's the other extreme that we've seen?
Well, they have the shield that blocks me from my teammates.
Well, okay, yes. But my point was this: in previous fights, it was too little, right? Now we've had too much when you had rally, and then too little when you didn't. There needs to be a happy medium, right? The golden mean. Unfortunately, we're in the the brass extremes and not the golden mean. Either too aggressive or too passive.
Sorry, I didn't learn.
You need a philosophy degree to understand understand Brigitte. I'm not sure, you might have missed that part of the practice range. Yeah, and I guess it kind of comes again here too, right? Where like, okay, she's supercharged, and you don't have your whip until a little bit too late. Like, there's no rush taking this. Is it bad to push a Symmetra a little bit? No. But again, I want you to coach yourself on the micro here. What should you do here?
Just push her back into the room.
Swing a little bit.
That.
Right, this is good. Getting a little low. What should we do right now?
Shield bash out.
If even that, you might not even need a shield bash. You might just walk out, right? Swing again. Right, because your HP is replenishing, hers is not. You get me? There's no rush. You forced her out. Again, is this something that a Zenyatta could do as easily? No, they couldn't. This Symmetra would be laughing her way to another elimination, right? You're doing, I appreciate this, but you just pushed it a little too far. And this is where, by the way, this is why we need your deathmatch. You'll get a better idea of like when you have an advantage in a duel and when you don't have an advantage in a duel. You kind of get what I'm saying?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Queen is scary. Now it's kind of funny here because your positioning is quite aggressive, right? But again, what happens if they try to drop and push you here? What do you have?
Shield bash.
Right. Shield bash and shield and a little bit of armor. You've got the survivability to make this work. If I'm playing Zenyatta, there's no chance that I would be caught here. No way. I'd be dead. Good armor pack. Good armor pack. Good armor pack. Good. You do a nice job keeping your eyes on your squishies. You do a really nice job of that. That's the priority, right? Because that's where your healing matters the most. That 125 healing or whatever it is for armor pack. Yeah. So you do a good job. You do a really good job. Now, what could you be doing right now? Because again, can you push these guys?
Yes. Okay.
But how much? How far?
Not much, because she has a mercy pocket.
Right, and she's full HP, right? So you want to kind of tinkle with it. You want to just, again, you want to kind of keep them looking at you, but without hard committing. Maybe they get shot. Maybe this Symmetra gets naded, right? Then what?
Then I can push in further.
Right. So then, what do you think you should be doing right now? Coach the micro here for yourself. What do you think you should do?
Whiplash.
Yeah.
Or... yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine to me. That's fine to me. Yeah. Probably the best bet. But you're so focused on helping up here on people that you can't see. But you know what would be helpful to these people up here is if you got the mercy to stick with the Symmetra.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Because now the mercy's leaving. Why? Because guess who's under no pressure?
Symmetra.
And so the mercy leaving means who gets extra help up here? You see this?
Yep,
you see the chain reaction here? I want you to try and pack these guys if you can. If you'd had time, I would have wanted you to go up here with these guys and pack and whip shot the Junker Queen. You see this? This would have been amazing. You didn't get up here. You weren't able to get up here. Fine. Pressure something else. Pressure something else. You are not a healer. You are a pressure machine. I want a whip shot. Let's go. See, you're not even peeking to proc your Inspire. You know? Mm-hmm. Not to mention the 70 damage. I mean, that's a Cassidy shot that you could do on a whip shot. And when you do push, how do you push?
I push with Shield Bash first.
You push with Shield Bash, not just with Shield Bash, but Shield Bash into who? Or into whom?
Junker Queen.
Junker Queen. Terrible. Right? You should know better than this.
It gets worse.
Impossible. Oh, that's not worse. I mean, you were cooked. That's not worse. There was no...
but I probably should have just left it when she was away from me.
How? I mean, I guess backing away, but she was already on top of you at that point. I don't know where else you could have gone, to be honest. And then, like, right here, where could you have gone? Maybe you could have, like, danced around the... You know what? That's the play. You should have danced around the cart and whipped her off the high ground. Yeah, you do suck. Shame on you. You should have had the... That would have been the highlight to end all highlights, and you missed that opportunity. Shame on you. No, but really, though, it's the same problem, right? What's the problem, right? You passive, 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 passive. Never push anything, never whip shot anything, never take any sort of aggressive positions. But when you do, you end. You end, and you end with your Shield Bash. Every single time.
Yep.
Right? Now, my question for you is why? Why do you think this is? Is it a lack of focus, a lack of understanding? In the middle of fights, you get a little bit flustered? Because this is to be perfectly respectful, this is a very common problem. And this is something that even I had a lot of issues with when I was struggling with Brig. Like, I had a really hard time finding this balance. So I've had to figure out, like, what was going to be the solution for me. But what's causing this for you?
So I think the biggest issues, like with me shield bashing first, is I'm still like stuck in my ways of old Brig when she would stun someone. And now she doesn't do that anymore. She just does damage.
Right.
So I think there's a little bit of that, and then I don't know, I guess just like feeling that I have the rest of the team with me so I can get really aggressive, but then not knowing when to cut it off. Yes,
exactly. Okay, let's focus on the first one because that's one that's very easy to fix, all right? How do you fix that first problem?
Don't do it.
Right. What you do is you get a giant fly swatter, and every time you shield bash aggressively without good reason to, because by the way, do you ever shield bash aggressively? Should you ever shield bash aggressively?
Not really.
Why not?
Because it's such a good escape tool. for you.
But it does 50 damage. Here's a question
I feel
for
like
you.
it should be left as a last resort, even though I'm not using it like
Okay. Remember when we were talking about this here, and you were like, you wanted to get in here? How would you have gotten there?
Without shield bashing, I would have had to walk.
That wouldn't have worked. So what was the solution?
Shield bash.
If you shield bash aggressively, what must be the criteria or criterion that you have to meet?
Somebody, I would argue, lower on health.
Sure. How about this? When you shield bash aggressively without having to think about all the trillions of rules, are you confident that you're going to be safe?
No.
Right. And as long as you can say yes, then go for it. If you can't, then don't do it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But at the same time, disregarding the use of shield bash, you're playing extremely passively. Like, I wouldn't even describe it as passive as in like you're not going in and swinging at people. You're not even trying to proc your inspire half the time. Why?
I don't have a good reason for it.
Okay. I mean, sometimes that's the case. Sometimes like it's just a bad habit that just we got into, and for whatever reason, it's stuck, right? So remind yourself. Put a reminder, sticky note. You know, where should I be? Am I peeling a dive? No. Okay, so then where should I be? Who can I be helping right now? Right? Can I be procking my inspire? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm telling you, your armor packs are fine. You're doing a pretty good job with your armor packs. Maybe throwing a little too many on your tank, but I think for the most part, fine. But you do not know how to position yourself without feeding or without being totally AFK. The other nice thing about finding that happy medium is you're going to be pushing yourself mechanically a little bit more to react faster with shield bash, to hit more whip shots. And guess what? That's exactly what you need. If you say you have some issues with the mechanics, guess what? You're about to go in the mechanic sweatshop, right? Where you're going to get a little bit more push, a little bit more. Not saying you're going to have to carry, otherwise you're going to die. But you're going to be putting yourself in situations where you can hit more whip shots. And if you miss them, guess what? Nothing is going to help your mechanics more than missing a lot of whip shots.
And this here's pretty bad.
We'll see. My predictions is rally, we overpush and die. No spoilers, please. A little bit of a psychological problem here. You check it?
Yeah.
Where should you be looking right now?
Towards the Winston.
Okay. Also, where the frick is my Echo and Sombra?
Yeah.
They're not your. He's not your. I know he's critical, but also like these guys need your assistance as well, right? So keep that in mind. And honestly, as a Brig, that's even more of a priority for you, given the fact that your healing matters more to them than it does to your tank. Correct? Just a small detail. I understand. You wanted to get there fast to heal them fast. I get it. Well, you split him. Here comes the rally. Oh, that was it? Oh,
well, it was like me sitting in the room because I thought Anna was going to go for the Winston, and then I was like, do I go for the Winston? And then Anna.
You're on a team with this person!
Like, yes!
Okay, yeah, I mean, honestly, okay, so let's optimize our positioning here for a second. Let's say your Winston is not 1 HP. Where would you go?
Probably up the stairs.
Why?
Or
What could you do from here?
I can see Echo. Mm-hmm. And then Winston is trying to push through that way.
Will you get punished for going this aggressively onto these guys?
Possibly, but I have good cover.
And what else do you have in your cooldowns?
Shield bash.
Yeah, so you could take more aggressive positions to support your team because you have to get out of jail free cards. Like I'm familiar with Fade. I mean, even Overwatch 2 badge, right? It's like at least double or triple the distance that it is in Overwatch 1, right? So, you know, leverage that, right? Take positions that supports normally don't get. You know, play cover, obviously, but like, you know, I don't know. Not the worst thing you could have done. I understand. There's logic behind it. There's always logic behind decisions. It just sometimes means the logic might not be very good. You know.
The math isn't mathing.
Right, exactly. Alright. And with all due respect, your Winston is feeding them, so you're not exactly doing any favors. And there's a triple pack on a disengaged Winston. My eyes are burning. I mean, I get it. You know, I get it. Please hit that. Because what are you gonna do when you hit that shield bash? Watch this, ready? You're gonna actually not gonna hit the shield bash. You're gonna walk around her. She's gonna turn on you. You're gonna run over here, bash her at the last second, then punch or flail, whip shot off the map. It's all calculated. And if you're not making these split-second calculations, you're trolling.
All right.
Sorry, that's my final offer as a support player. If you're not performing third level trigonometry in your matches, then you really should not be playing Overwatch with Brig. Exactly. Okay. You know, rally was good. Rally was fine. You know, you didn't feed, so all sorts of W's today. Now, should you be pushing here?
Not really. I just got hacked.
Alright, you're thinking too. Look at your HP.
I mean, it is full.
Okay, look at your bash.
Still there.
Look at what your team is doing.
Diving.
Look at what the enemy team is doing.
Trying to brawl.
So push them and bash out, right? Your team needs this. Yep. You know, you go in there and you swing your flail, maybe hit a whip shot on a squishy. I don't care if you push Mercy. I mean, Mercy's probably the easiest and safest push because she's not going to hit back, right? But Reaper, yeah, heck, even Queen, smack her around a little bit, beat her on the butt cheeks a little bit, you know, and then bash out. And if she tries to push you, you can whip. Or if you have, you know, don't have your whip, then you use your shield. Like, my point is that, again, what is your hero's strengths right now? Is it going to be sitting on cart and spectating? No, push. You have a massive advantage and you have all of your get out of jail free cards. Use them, right? Trust yourself some, you know? Have some faith. And if you mess this up, that's okay. It's fine. It's good to mess up because you're gonna need, like, trust me, after this review, you're gonna get in some ranked games and you're gonna feed your brains out. But you can't let that bother you, right? Because the whole point is that in the path to actually like figuring these things out, you got to be comfortable making a few mistakes, you know? That's the thing. Like, for you to be embittered, you have to sacrifice some of the short-term goals, you know? You do a workout, the next day, you're gonna be kind of weak because you're kind of hurting a little bit, right? But that's all part of the process. In the long term, you're gonna be a better player for it. And the other thing too is you have so many of your other fundamentals that are going relatively well. I think your cover usage has been pretty good. I think your armor pack usage has been pretty good, but you're gimping yourself, right? You don't have enough confidence in yourself. You've earned the right to play more aggressively here. Do it. You know what I'm saying? 0 damage off of this EMP. 0. Literally 0. One on the... Good. You know, let me ask you a question. Did they give you any reason to shield bash out right now?
No.
Why?
Because they're all pretty far back.
Okay, look at your HP.
On someone else. Yeah,
you see it?
Full.
Yeah, they missed everything. You're not the only one that misses everything. You know what I'm saying? You still have your shield bash. They've missed everything. Okay, hit him in the mouth. Good whip shot. Keep going. Well, like as soon as you use, I know we talked about being cautious about pushing frontline, right? But there's nothing else to push right now. And as long as you have your shield bash, I'm okay with it. You know, limit test it a little bit. Go. See? You see that? What was the mistake here? Watch it. Miss your whip shot, shame on you.
And then shield bash.
Right? Swing, whip, shield bash out, and now you get carnaged. And now you feel scared. You see that? Now you feel scared, and you should feel scared. and your Mercy has to heal you, and now your Winston dies. That's your fault. That's your fault. But was the problem here, you were too aggressive? I should have been too defensive. No. What was the problem?
I ran through all my cooldowns.
Right, exactly. You ran through all your cooldowns, and in fact, you didn't play aggressively enough earlier when it mattered. And then when you did play aggressive, you played aggressive in the wrong way and at the wrong time. And now your team gets punished for it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Like again there, right? You see the bash in. Now, is this just you resetting? Maybe that's fine, you know? Maybe you're like, oh, the fight's lost. But at this point, I'm not even convinced that that was the case.
No, it wasn't.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate the honesty. Good try. I mean, it's whatever. It's OT. You gotta try and touch. Okay. Do you have any questions so far?
Yesterday we talked about that decision for that final fight of me burning Shield Bash on Bastion instead of saving it for Blossom. And so we were just like kind of conflicted there because I thought I made the right decision because I was trying to suppress Bastion to buy everyone time to push in.
Yeah.
But then I didn't know Blossom was going to go off, and then yeah.
I mean, I think that's a little bit too, that conversation is a pretty nuanced one and not one I would sweat it out. If you got good bash value, then that's fine. And I agree with you. If the Bastion's in turret form blowing up your team, and he was blowing up your team wasn't hiding, then bashing him to buy time to put pressure on him, it was fine. And I also think at that point in time, the fight was lost. I think it was over. You have, and let's put it this way, you have much bigger fish to fry. Besides whether you should have been bashing Bastion or bashing Reaper. You're bashing everybody, right? Indiscriminately, while also at the same time playing significantly, way more passive than you ought to be, and not playing around your shield bash as a get out of jail free card. So let's focus on that, right? Now, as a team, you guys can have those discussions, but for you personally, I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Okay.
I wouldn't worry too much about it. Any other questions?
No.
You want to take a look at some Kiriko?
Yeah, let's just do a little bit. I don't remember if I swapped or not.
All right.
I think I might have.
Now, shocker, Kiriko, like Brig, needs to be playing quote-unquote aggressively. Selectively aggressively, right? But you have a even better get-out-of-jail-free card with your TP, right? Mm-hmm. So if you are playing like a heal bot and not putting out damage and not looking to use your TP to get out of jail, then you are trolling the lobby. So let's find out. Anyway, hear me out. In this situation right here, obviously your tank is critical, so you got it. Are you going to be able to out heal this damage?
No.
No. So what should you do?
Start either applying damage or backing up.
Do you need to back up right now?
Not really. They're really focused on the tank.
Okay. Here's another reason why you shouldn't be backing up right now. Look at your HP. And look at your cooldown. You got it? Where's your TP? Where do you TP to?
Away from the tank.
Oh, you see it? Over there.
Okay.
Who should you be shooting right now?
The Bastion and Zarya.
You TP into the middle of the enemy team while continuing to heal bot. I think you're dead. Oh, but your D.Va is. You can heal till the cows come home, but if you aren't putting out some sort of offensive pressure, and the best part about Kiriko, right, is what can you do? You ever heard of the term weaving?
Yeah.
Okay, how do you weave?
Side to side.
How about heal and damage weaving? You ever heard of that?
No.
It's where you do one heal, damage, one heal, damage, one heal, damage. And you actually do your healing at full potency, but because there's a slight delay for your Ofuda to reload, use it to damage.
Okay.
So how would that look like here?
Applying damage.
Right now, right? Then heal. Then what?
Damage.
Damage again.
And don't teleport to Diva.
Right. Why is this teleport to Diva bad?
Because it's right in front of where everyone's looking.
Mm-hmm. You're shield bashing in. Is what you're doing. That's what you're doing. Now, I get it. The Bastion was looking at you, so it's a little bit of an unfair comparison. It's not exactly the same, but I don't care. I'm cheating. I'm being disrespectful. You can't stop me. But yeah. Look, I want more weaving. I want more damage. There you go. Let's go. That was a little bit of it right there. A little bit. You see that? A little bit of damage, then you flick over to heal, and then you could have gone back to damage. You're a little bit too slow on the heal, but you got the right idea.
Okay.
Now, guess what? That's hard. That's really hard. But that's what you need. You talk about mechanics being a weak point. Guess what? Sweatshop mode, right? This is exactly what you need. Now, is weaving always going to be good? No. Sometimes you're not going to need to. Sometimes you're not going to want to. Sometimes you're going to go full heal. Sometimes you're going to go full damage. But if you see the opportunity, let's go. Don't exist. Don't exist. Contribute value. Be a contributing member of society to your team, right? You're doing yourself no favors. Now, we're going to let things shake out a little bit here. Now, where should you be? Where can you leverage your aggressive support defensive capabilities? Just like Brig. Right. So you go here, you TP to your little monkey, and what can you do from here?
Apply damage and support the monkey.
Correct. Could other supports do this immediately as easily as you?
No.
No. Do it. You're playing both two supports with similar, I wouldn't say similar playstyles, but that have get out of jail free cards. And so if you're not thinking about how can I take slightly more aggressive offensive positions, then you're trolling with both of those supports. Because you know what you're doing right now, and Ana would do it 10 times better. Hey, let's go. Let's go. Shoot. Stop healing. She doesn't need it. Damage. Hit him in the mouth, right? You've hit some nice shots. You've hit some nice shots. I know you have it in you. The shots that you're hitting on the far right here are not easy. I mean, you and I both know that it feels it's horrible. Like, I hate that hero, right? Freaking hate Farah. You know? Stop healing. Stop it. Now you gotta heal. Now you gotta heal. Now damage. Nah! But you know why? Okay. You know why you died? Because you were healing.
And Farah was uncontested.
Right. You not only that, but you lost track of the Farah because you weren't looking at her. Because you weren't shooting her. So you get the Farah literally just walks onto you. And because you're so tunneled and healing your tank, who was at that point in time essentially full HP, there you go, right? And the thing is when you're not doing damage, your Winston takes damage. I mean, look at all the healing that you've done, and your Winston's still entering at half HP. Do you know why? Do you know what hit the Winston? Check it.
The ult. Oh, the Farah.
The Farah. Right? You could have prevented at least a chunk of that damage by actually doing a little bit of your own damage yourself. You get me?
Yes.
Let's stop there. Give me 1 second. What are you seeing so far? Let's start with Brig. What are some things that you need to practice? You know what? Actually, let's stop. What are some things that you did well with Brig?
Armor pack usage.
Yeah, I think your armor pack usage was it perfect? Absolutely not, but it was actually pretty darn good. You did a good job looking for your squishies. You did a good job keeping your head in a swivel. I have to coach a lot of players higher ranked than you on how to do that better. You did a great job. Anything else?
Cover usage.
Yep. Was it perfect? Again, no, but it was, I wouldn't say it was your weak point. All right. So what are some things that you need to practice? What are some goals and some habits that you need to improve on in game?
Learning a happy medium.
With what?
Between aggressiveness and passiveness.
Right. So how do you do that in execution? So first off, the mindset, right, is like limit testing that happy medium. Go and find it on yourself. But when we look at the details, how does it actually look? Bash, whip shot, positioning. What needed to change?
Bash needed to be saved to get out. And then I needed to keep whip shot up to maintain inspire.
Saving bash more for getting out. Unless you're confident you're safe. And fishing with whip shot more often to proc inspire pressure enemies. Right? And just generally positioning yourself like a little bit more aggressively, not aggressively in terms of out in the open or in front of the front line, but you know, positions where like, you know, I'm gonna be able to pocket my team from here, support my team from here, but I have my bash to get out, right? Anything else you saw with Brig? That was the big one for sure.
Let's see. And then to keep pressure. I just maintain pressure.
Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Right? It's totally fine. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. The ranked game doesn't matter. It's one game. One game. And I know that's hard. Especially when you're playing with a friend group because you feel like you're letting the guys down. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Which is why solo queue, the first few games of the day, are going to be very important because, you know, those faceless idiots that you queue with, you know, especially if you're really trying and you're really putting effort in, then you're good to go. You're probably putting in more effort than the entire lobby at that point in time. You know what I'm saying? Okay. What about Kiriko? We didn't have as much time, but with Kiriko, what did you see? Is there any small details that you can improve on?
Practicing like the damage heal weave like you described, and then applying offensive pressure.
Damage heal weave, but in general, looking for more offensive pressure, positioning opportunities. Because remember, you also have a get out of jail free card with that character. I don't want to be any more of this whole like I'm not the brightest crown in the box, you know. Joking aside, you know, you're too smart, and you're too good at the game to kind of like put yourself in the box like that. You know what I'm saying? I think that's disrespectful to yourself. You deserve way more respect than that. So you did fine. You made a lot of mistakes. Everybody does. If you want to talk about people that should be absolutely obliterated, it's my gameplay. As smart as I am at the game, but I don't play enough of the game, so I look like a jackass whenever I play. So, but you know, I think there's a lot of good things about your play. You should be proud of what you've done. Continue to push forward. Enjoy the process, and don't be scared to make mistakes.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Do you have any questions?
I think that's it. I took my little notes, so I think I should be good to go.